Hey guys, what's up? Shadolance back with another video. I'm sorry I've been gone for a couple of weeks, guys. I've had a crazy schedule and I've done so much cool stuff. I've been working on lab projects and a bunch of really cool stuff that I would like to show you guys on Facebook, so go check that out after the video. But for right now, I have a really cool video for you guys. This is something that I think a lot of you have been waiting to hear for a long time. So today we're going to be talking about the thing that Nexon probably has in store. And now, one thing I'm going to say right now is this isn't necessarily something I know they have in store. None of this is confirmed. This is just something that would be really great since it's very obvious that Nexon is trying to push Combat Arms into a more competitive setting. We've seen that with a few of the updates that they've made recently. The more available they're making everything. So I have some suggestions for both them, and also I have some ideas that you guys may like to hear. Definitely give me feedback on these and drop your own ideas at the end of the video. That is crucial to making this kind of video work and getting Nexon to pay attention to these videos, because if a moderator comes and watches this video, this is where we get to change the game. This is where everyone gets to make a difference. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. First of all, if we're going to have competitive games, we need to create a specific server for competitive games and feed it more bandwidth. We have got to give that server really good lag, well, lack of lag, but you guys get my point. Anyway, we have to have a really good high-end competitive server that is separate from everything else. This is going to be for all the very best players to get together and play. Now, when I say that, we don't want this to be an exclusive server. We want this to be one that anyone can play on, feel comfortable in, and you will fit within your own rankings. So, now moving into the actual games themselves, how are we going to make competitive games? First of all, these are really simple things and it's going to be very, very detailed. Now, diving into this. First of all, disable global chat while the round is in progress. Completely disable clan chat and megaphones. If you played Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Counter-Strike Source, you know how this works. You can talk to other teams in between rounds, and you cannot talk to them while the match is going on. You can only talk to your own team. That's just very standard competitive, like, quota almost. Now, moving on. Impose skill-based matchmaking within rank variation. Now, that was a bunch of really big words, breaking that down. Imposed skill-based matchmaking. That means you can't have someone walk in who is extremely highly ranked, and now I'm not talking about ranked as in Major, or LTC, or GOA or anything. I'm talking about competitive rank. So you can't have someone who's ranked competitive like 5,000 play against a bunch of people who are in like the 3 million range. You can't have that happen. It will block the game from starting. You can't have carries that way. You have to have a group of people who are certified to play together. If you want to actually have that, it is possible that they could go make another server that is open ranking. However, it will not affect your score, so that way you can play competitive type game modes without having it very heavily affect your score. And that way you couldn't exactly grind it either. It could make a difference, but it would be minute. Moving on. People cannot participate until a certain rank to prevent dummy usage. If it was my opinion, I would say no competitive gameplay until at least the rank of captain. However, that is relatively high if you're starting from a brand new account, and it definitely prevents people from playing competitive in the game for quite a while. If you look at a game like Overwatch, where they don't allow you to start playing competitive until you're level 25, you can get there in a day of hard grinding, 2 or 3 days. Most people will make it there within 2 weeks or so. However, you're not going to be making the rank of captain within 2 weeks. That's more like 2 months if you're a casual player that's interested in playing competitive. So, the better way to do this would probably be, say, a little lower than that. However, of course, it's very easy to grind in this game if you know how. The idea is to prevent dummy accounts from being thrown into game modes, and it's very strange, so they would have to work that out themselves and pull some statistics that I don't have access to while I'm making this video, but we do want to prevent dummy accounts, and the best way to do that is to prevent people from joining competitive until a certain rank has been achieved. Moving on. Allow strict weapon and gear customization rules for both teams, and they must both agree on them. It doesn't matter whether you're hosting the room or not. You make the rules. The other team must be able to see all of those rules and agree on them. You must have everyone in the room click a check button that says, I agree to these rules. You don't want to just say, okay, yeah, we agree to it, we've readied up, and you can't have that accidental, everyone's readied up and the game starts thing and then penalizes people. No issues there. Everyone must click that check button saying, we are good for this. It's sort of like the map changing after a match in CSGO or something. You vote on maps. Well, here you vote on the rules and you say yes or no, we are not going to do this. If someone clicks the X button, they have to revise the rules and everyone must re-vote. And anyway, so something like that where everyone must agree to what's going on here. Anyway, next thing. Make games have strict round timers. Every game mode should be based on rounds or something similar to Elim Pro, S&D, or even like a new game mode where you have to capture a point that's in the middle and both teams are fighting over it. You don't have to have the objective become open immediately, but that's how you can allow overtime and tiebreakers to go into effect, where you can say, okay, so each team has 6 rounds won, we need to have a tiebreaker for the 13th round or whatever, or we need to allow overtime for capturing a point, since you can't really have a second round of that. But anyway, moving on, We need to create a game mode that allows respawns, but requires a teammate to revive and has a longer timer. So if I get shot in the face and I die, someone else has to come from my team after a certain amount of time, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, and revive me. This is a very interesting game mode that you see in several different kinds of games. Call of Duty has done it in the past. I believe in Advanced Warfare they brought it in. I believe there was one back in Modern Warfare 3 as well. I know Destiny does this. There's a lot of game modes that do this. It's really, really fun, and it makes a fantastic competitive gameplay. Moving on, the last thing I want to point out in this making the games themselves category, objectives need to take priority over kills if you're not playing Elim Pro. Kills can influence ties, but the round should not be officially started until the objective has been reached by a team or defended for a certain limit of time. So like, for example, if you have S&D and you have one person bombing and one person doing the defending or whatever, if you want to call it that, or if you even think about bombing run where two teams are fighting over a bomb, the actual round does not officially start until like 30 seconds into the round. Put a timer that says no points can be earned until this has come into effect. So that way you can have people run in and set up, and that's really important when you have competitive game modes, especially if any of you guys have played that map. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting what it's called. It's one of the early Combat Arms maps where people will go up into the top third floor and just camp there in the window. It prevents stuff like that. It also allows people to set up properly and creates the games so that they are more about intelligence and not just running in blazing your guns. It's more about how are you actually going to approach this situation. So that's why we want to look at objectives. The objective is what you want to go after. Now, that's not saying that Elim Pro doesn't take skill. I'm not bagging on people that play Elim Pro. That's a whole different monster, and I'm sure someone else can better balance that than I can in my head, considering I prefer S&D and bombing run and capture the flag and those kind of games. I'm not a big Elim Pro guy. But anyway, moving on into the next category. This is actually just a really simple point I want to make, but we want to get in-game voice chat working again and do it well this time. Vivox voice chat was an absolute amalgamation of problems. We do not want to go back to that. Communication is really key. It is like the #1 point for all competitive games. If you can't talk to your teammates, you're not going to be winning. You can take a team of fucking 0.2 KDR players, and they're going to be horrendous players, but if they can communicate, they have a decent chance of winning against a bunch of players who have 1.0, 1.5 KDRs if they can't talk. Now, maybe that's not the case for every game, but you guys get my point. Even if a team is much more unskilled, if they can communicate, they have the advantage. So we want to give that ability to everybody. Not everyone has a private TeamSpeak server that can go play on. Moving on. Give greater rewards to the winners than the losers. Have a pool of prizes that are available upon match completion. All of this is about incentive. Why would you play competitive if there's no incentive other than saying, hey, I did this? Because nobody cares. Everyone wants to get stuff that will help them further in the game. So this kind of reward can be better EXP if the winning team gets double the experience or double the GP, or I'm going to get onto this in a minute, but double the competitive currency, or actually gets competitive currency, or gets better item drops like 7-day weapons as opposed to 1-day weapons, or gets an Orthus for a day instead of a Maxes for 30 days or whatever. You can balance it however you want. I don't care how you do it. Anyway, so you get better stuff for winning. It's very simple. Also, I mentioned competitive currency. It's a very good idea to create a competitive currency and have a competitive shop that you must be a certain competitive rank to access. Now, I'll repeat that again. A certain competitive rank. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that is different from your actual rank. It doesn't matter if you're a GOA or a major. If your competitive rank is higher, you will have access to better weapons. Now, what would be super cool if they really wanted to reach for the stars here, they could say, okay, we're going to make all new weapons for this competitive thing, because that would give people enormous amounts of incentive to come and play competitive, to get these special weapons that you cannot get anywhere else in the game, that you must get them through competitive. Or if they just simply gave us really rare access to really rare weapons, like say, oh, you can use competitive points to buy a SIG 50 at competitive rank 50. It takes time to get there, and it's very hard to reach that rank, but you could do it. And it's the idea that you create incentive for people to come play competitive, get into the game, put the hours in to be good at it, and get better stuff. This creates an enormous amount of incentive. However, there's two ways you could do this. Either you could keep it with the GP and NX systems that we have now and lock it simply by rank, saying you have to be above this rank to buy this weapon, but what would be cooler is if you put very high competitive currency prices on it. So the way that Overwatch does it is they have competitive points that you get from winning or losing or tying a game. And depending on how well you do in the game, you get more competitive currency. If you win, I believe you get 10 or 100 or something like that. And if you tie, you get half that. And if you lose, you get nothing. So obviously you want to win as much as you can. And occasionally you'll have a tie. So that way you build up money and then you can go to buy characters' special golden weapons. Well, in this game, what that might look like is, say, you have weapons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and weapon 5 is the best one that you can currently get through this, but you can't access it until you're both a high competitive rank and have enough competitive currency to purchase it. Now, there's a couple ways that I would do this, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. I have to bring up my next point before I can continue with that. The next thing, and actually the final big thing I've got to talk about, is having seasons. That's very, very standard with any competitive game. It doesn't matter what game you're playing. If it's competitive, it probably has seasons. This is to allow players to get better over time or get worse over time, and it doesn't allow one person to grind super hard for like 5 seasons or a long time and then not play for a year, come back and still be the #1 player in the world. It allows people to get better and worse, have fluctuation, see who's getting better as the game evolves, as the game goes through updates and base changes. This is really important, having these seasons. We want to see players progress over time, and we want to be able to point at people and say, he's the best player right now. He's the best player. He's the best sniper. He's the best rusher. He's the best S&D player. We want to have best players. We want to have community spearheads. We want to have these people that we support, that we go watch streams of, and all that kind of stuff. Not to mention, it would give us another way to say have end-of-seasons rewards for higher-ranked players. So if you come in the top 100 players, you better get some pretty cool rewards. But if you're only in the top 50,000, you may not be getting as nice rewards, but you'll still get something to say, hey, I played, I was here, I played in this season. Give aesthetic tags as well for all participants, but you can unlock better aesthetic tags that you receive at the end of the season if you're a better player. Actually, interestingly enough, there's a phone game called Brave Frontier, which has something that's similar to this, called Frontier Hunter, I believe, and it's really cool. There's if the further you go and the higher ranked you get, the more stuff you get at the end of it, and the higher ranked you are, your rank will carry over, unlike seasons. This is a little bit different, but the thing is, you can get better stuff if you've reached a higher rank overall, and you have these lasting things that you can show other players saying, hey, I was here, I did this well, and it's like having a resume. It's like proof that you're a good player. It's something everyone wants to see, because anyone can go pub stomp. Yeah, you see someone with 3.0 KDR, what they do, go sit in frickin' alpha all day and just kill players that are brand new to the game and have never played before. Anyone can do that. But if you sit there and you play in one of the old Bravo servers that's really, really hard to play in, and you have all your highest ranked skilled players playing there, yeah, a 1.0 player from there is going to be a lot better than a 3.0 player playing on the old alpha servers that were really, really bad and had a lot of new players in it, so everyone was terrible. But you guys get my point. I don't need to ramble on about that. The thing that I wanted to bring up finally that goes with the seasons is that you could have these competitive ranks and shops, and the items in the shop could change every season. That way you could have seasonal items that, oh, Season 3 has this brand new assault rifle that is brand new and will only be here for Season 3. That creates even more incentive. The whole point about this is to create incentive. I've said that word a ton this video, but the whole point is the more content that we have people striving for, the more players that are going to come to the game, stick with the game, and spend hours, time, and money on the game. And when Nexon has that greater player ratio online all the time, and is earning more money because people are spending more money to get better weapons, people mentally say, oh, if I just get this sniper rifle, then I can do better in competitive, and all that kind of stuff. Then, yeah, you're going to have a game where people are constantly on. This is the kind of thing that can revive Combat Arms. This is the kind of thing that makes a game great. And I just want to see what Combat Arms and Nexon are going to do with this. I'm very interested in seeing where they take this game in the next 8 to 9 months or so before next summer, because I think next summer is when they're going to have another really hard shot in making sure this game is successful. And if we have some good things in place by then, by the time the holidays come around, everyone gets out of high school and has all summer to play Combat Arms and video games, let's see where the game is by then. I'm very curious, but before that happens, we obviously have Christmas, Black Friday, a bunch of other really cool events coming up. I will be having videos out on those guys when those times come around, so check back on the channel and I will definitely have some stuff up for you to see, some recommendations on sales. So if you want to be in on that stuff, hit that subscribe button. Go check out the Facebook group below, because that is definitely where I post all of our latest updates. I post all videos, so if you miss it on YouTube, you can pick it up on Facebook, all that great stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Slam that like button, and we'll see you guys next time. Shadolance out.